The muscle is going to be the thickest one. The other ones are very, very thin. Then the tunica externa. The tunica externa has another name that is called also adventitia. That usually doesn't come out, but just in case you don't see, this is how you have to look at the questions. When they give you tunica media, what are the layers of the blood vessels? And they mention all of them. But you don't see the tunica externa, but instead you see tunica adventitia, that's what is left. So you pick that one. But 99%, they don't ask about that. They like to ask about the middle layer most of the time, because it's the most important layer, whether in the heart, whether in the blood vessels. Got it? Transport blood under high pressure. That's what they have thicker walls, particularly the middle one. Located deeper than veins, we mentioned that. That's what we use veins to draw blood, not because it carries the oxygenated, the dirty blood, but because it's superficial. Other than that, medical assistants, phlebotomists, will not be able to do phlebotomy. Then will be nurses and everybody at that level. So basically that's what it is. This gives rise to smaller blood vessels that are called arterioles. See, from the arteries come the arterioles. And from the arterioles are smaller ones that are called capillaries. So this is not even mentioned at all. They have function just to distribute blood, but this is not asked. So you're never going to hear about arterioles in your exam, because these are very tiny blood vessels that we don't use for anything. But we actually going to use the next one, that are the capillaries, okay? Because when we do finger stick, particularly when you're going to check for glucose, cholesterol, hemoglobin, then we use the little prick on the finger and then remove a little drop of blood and put it in a machine to check these very fast tests that we do to evaluate the patients right in there. The arterioles, remember, no worries about this. It's just smaller arteries. The function is just to transport blood, oxygen to the smallest organs, but this is never asked, okay? It's just want you to know that the arteries branches out. This is like a tree. It has a big trunk, branches that are larger, and very small branches, and then, you know, the leaves, the fruits, and all the stuff. But this only has arteries, arterioles, capillaries. That's it. These are important. Capillaries. Now, what is important about capillaries? The function and what is it that we use them for, particularly in phlebotomy, right? So capillaries are the smallest arteries in our body. They are microscopic, meaning you cannot see them with the naked eye. You have to use a microscope. See, when we poke our fingers with a needle, the blood that comes out from there is not from a vein, it's not from an artery, it's from a capillary. Very tiny blood vessels. That's why if we apply pressure immediately, in 2-3 minutes, no more blood start coming out from there. So for the purpose of distributing nutrients and all that stuff, that's what they do. Everything passes through these blood vessels. And they connect with small vessels of the veins that are called venules. These are the venules. One more thing. Whenever you see in a graphic of the cardiovascular system, two colors. If you see blue, that's arteries. If you see blue, those are veins. If you see red, these are arteries. So arteries, arterioles, capillaries, they have to look red because they are the ones who carry oxygenated. If you see blue, that means veins, that means venules. Because the veins have branches, and those small branches, those small veins are called venules, and that's it. They get together and they do the gas exchange. Here we have all the oxygen, here we have all the carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is being drawn from here to put it there, and now these have oxygen. That's how they do the gas exchange within the lungs, within the tissues. But you don't have to be worried about this. The only thing that you have to understand is capillaries are microscopic blood vessels. They don't have 3 walls because they are so tiny. They are not going to have the tunica externa, the tunica media. They only have the tunica interna. That's it. And once again, you cannot see capillaries. They are very small. That is it. So just the only thing that you need to know is that they are very small. They are microscopic. And in phlebotomy, you use them to do the capillary drawing. So the finger stick, the dermal puncture. That's basically what it is. The veins, we talked about this already. They are all the opposite of arteries. They have thinner walls, particularly the middle layer. They have low pressure, no pressure at all. They have valves. They are superficial. They have no oxygen. This blood that passes through these blood vessels have no oxygen. See? All this. And the lowers of the branches of the veins are called venules. That's it. Veins, venules. Arteria, arterias, arteries, arterioles. See? So that's how you put it together. So if I have the smallest of the veins are just venules. But the smallest of the arteries are arterioles, and the smaller. And the smallest is going to be the capillaries. Correct.
Oh, wait, don't forget.
Remember, don't forget about which blood vessel contains valves. Veins. See, things that I always relate. V, valves, veins. The V, right? The arteries don't have valves. So what is the V anyways? Can we move on?
Yeah.
Venules, remember, I don't even go over this, just know that these are the smallest veins. That's it. Venules, veins. Okay, this is important. Let's kind of draw the blood flow of blood. I have it in 2 ways, see? We have this chart, and we can go back to the heart and draw it through the chambers, right? Through the valves. How blood flows through the heart. So if we will remember, blood enters the right atrium through the vena cava, right? Then enters the right atrium, then it moves to the left atrium, but it has to pass through the tricuspid valve. So that's what it says right here. See? Blood from the systemic circuits from the body enters to the vena cava, superior and inferior, to the right atrium, then goes to the left atrium. But to go to the right atrium, I'm sorry, to the right ventricle. But to pass there, you have to pass to the pulmonary valve. So all these first from the tricuspid, remember. So let's put the picture. You guys have this. Let's do the picture and then we go through the flow chart, because it's a lot easier looking at the picture. Here. So blood enters the right side. Remember that blood always comes to the right side because it's the dirty blood, right? No oxygen. Superior, inferior vena cava. Enter the right atrium. this blood is going to move to the right ventricle, but it has to pass through the tricuspid valve. Now everything is on the right side. The blood from the right side do not move to the left side. They do not mix.
Yeah.
Is that understood?
Yeah.
There is a wall right here.
It goes through like
Exactly. This wall that separates the right side from the left side is called the septum. This is another question for this. Septum. What is the septum? It's the muscle that separates the right side of the heart from the left side of the heart. Let me erase this. Septum. So what is the septum again?
muscle that separates the right side of the heart from the left one.
Correct. Very important. So, again, that's why blood does not mix. Can you imagine the blood that is dirty mixing with the blood that is clean? It will make no sense. No, we have to have a division that doesn't allow. So everything stays on the right palm and everything stays on the left palm because of that. Now, when you hear the person says that they have a hole in the heart, it's not that somebody make a hole there. No. What happens is that when we're fetus, these chambers connect to each other. They connect. The blood goes from one side to the next. Why? Because the heart in the fetus is not working. It's using the mother's blood. But as soon as the baby is born, this hole fixes. It closes. But in certain people, it doesn't close. So blood from here moves here. Blood from here moves here. So that causes a problem. So then the child starts becoming very weak. They sleep and they sleep a lot. They cannot do exercise. They feel like very lazy. You said, oh my God, my child is very lazy. It's not that it's lazy. It's that they don't have all this oxygen because the blood, the dirty blood is mixing with the clean blood. Therefore, they don't have enough oxygen. So they take him to the doctor, they do some evaluations, and then they find out that the child chambers are connected still. So they have to do surgery to close it. Other than that, the child is going to have a problem. This person grows and cannot play sports. Because remember, sports demands lots of oxygen. Now you cannot do heavy stuff or be very active. So that's basically what it is. From here, from the right ventricle, remember the blood is going to go through the pulmonary valve to the pulmonary artery to the lungs. That ends the right side, right there. Because we have two pumps. Right side ends in the lungs. Then, from the lungs, blood comes with oxygen to the pulmonary veins, to the left atrium. The left atrium goes, blood moves to the left ventricle, but it has to pass through the mitral valve. Now that the blood is sitting right here on the left ventricle, it needs to leave to the rest of the body because we need the oxygen. It's going to go through the aortic valve, through the aorta, to the rest of the body. And if you see right here, this is the trunk of the aorta, and it has one artery right there, one artery right there, one artery right there. So all these trunks, all these branches of the aorta, one goes to the head, the other one goes to the shoulder, to the trunk, all the way down and back. And that keeps on dividing. Remember, like a tree. One big branch, then smaller, then very small, and to reach every single area of our body. So that's how it goes. Now let's go back again to the flow chart. Here. So we see everything in the same fashion. It's just that it's a little more detailed. No, remember, you don't have to be perfect on the exam, right? The most important thing is, if you pass with 70%, so you don't have to get them all right. And you're not gonna get all these questions. So if some of you gonna get some of them, some of you gonna get some of them. And some of the questions, don't worry. And see, the exams have some trial questions usually. Trial question means questions that we're not gonna grade. Every single exam, national exam, has trial questions. But we don't know which ones are. But when you see that something is like, oh my God, the teacher probably didn't teach us this, I don't even understand this, I never heard about this, no worries. If you never heard about this, that's not the answer. Just pick anything. Because you don't know the answer. They just put it there. And if they see that more than 70% of the people answered that correct, they're going to add it to the next text next time. But for now, it doesn't count. Is that understood? So whenever you're taking a test, don't panic. Sometimes we go like, oh my God, I think that I didn't do so well. It turns out you did. But you think you did bad with the questions that were the trial ones that are not graded. Is that understood?
Yeah.
So that's the most important thing. When someone is taking a test, I always tell them, don't struggle to get 100. You can't, oh, I have to get an A. If I don't get an A, I'm a dumb. I'm not good. I don't care if this A, B, C, other classmate got an A. I don't care. Nothing. I'm not bad. If I pass, that's all I want. Because
What's the passing grade
for
the NHA
70%. So in 180 questions, you can get there are 30 questions that are trial. Remove those. So it's 150. From those 150, 70%. So you can get 100 right, you pass. So you're getting 80 wrong. And that's when you say, oh my God, I got a lot of wrong. But yeah, some of them were trials, some of them were the percentage that you didn't need in order for you to pass. Okay. So let's talk about the coronary circulation. Coronary means heart too. Remember, cardio means heart. Coronary means heart. What are you giving away?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Nice. Together, hey, let's do it to make the change. And that's how it works. So coronary circulation, remember, are the circulation inside the heart. The heart has its own circulation, has its own main blood vessels. And where is those blood vessels coming from? The aorta. Remember, the aorta is the one that comes out of the heart, right? Brings all the oxygenated blood. As soon as the aorta leaves the heart, two branches goes first to the heart. Which organ should be receiving blood first? The heart is the one who's doing all these exchanges. But remember, the blood is not passed from one chamber, or it's not going to the layers when the blood is circulated. It doesn't happen that way. It has to be first oxygenated. And where is the blood oxygenated? Within the aorta. So as soon as the aorta kind of leaves the heart, right there it branches on the right coronary artery and the left coronary artery, as you see here. This is the aorta. This is the right coronary artery. This is the left coronary artery. So one goes to the right side of the heart, one major blood vessel, the other one goes to the left side. Of course, they have more branches, but we're not worried about that. We worry about this. Because if you have a question on your exam, they're going to ask you, which are the major coronary arteries? Then you're going to say the right coronary artery, the left coronary artery. What is another possible question? What is the name of the circulation of the heart? The coronary circulation. It's not the cardiac circulation. Because you're going to see an answer because they're going to fool you because cardi means heart, right? So they're going to say, oh, the cardio circulation. There's no cardiac circulation. There is a cardiovascular system, but the circulation of the heart is called the coronary circulation. Coronary comes from core. Core means center, middle. No, you're right. Middle, center. See, the core of an apple is whatever you have that little kind of stuff that you don't eat in the middle that separates all the little parts of anything. So that's the core. The core is center. That's it.
Sorry, the second question that you said that we're going to ask, you said the first one is, which is the major coronary arteries, and then the second question?
Right. The other one is, what is the name of the circulation of the heart?
Okay.
And then you know there is the coronary circulation. Because then when you read your questions, you said, oh my God, I got this. Because you feel comfortable. Because when you look for the questions, when you read the questions, you're going to have so many things running through your head and not having an idea what you're going to be looking or answering. It's tough. You've been there, you've done so many things, and you said, oh my God, it's like going to a place and speaking a language that you don't speak. Oh, I'm going on vacation, but me, I'm going to India. Do you speak Punjabi? Do you speak Urdu? No. Do they speak English over there? No. What are you going to do? Are you traveling with someone who's from there? No. You're going to be kind of wondering what you're going to do, right? And thinking that somebody is going to look like it's going to talk to you and you're going to understand. So it's hard. But when you're kind of familiar, say, oh no, I'm in my own element. Oh, people over there speak English, speak every language, so I'm going there. So you're going to feel kind of more at ease. So that's basically what it is. So no worries much about this, etc. The cardiac cycle. Remember, all this is a little complicated because the heart is complicated. It's very, has so many terms, but we need to understand certain terms so when we start seeing the functioning and how the EKG, the electrocardiogram is made, what parts are needed, what is it that the heart's functioning that way, how we know that the function is not working normally because some of the things are going to change there. So that's basically what it is. Now, cardiac cycle, the events of a heartbeat. So now, the heart, remember, has the two sides, the right and the left. So, when the upper chambers contracts, meaning squeeze and pumps blood to the lower chambers, the ventricles, that happens simultaneously. So, the right atrium and the left atrium, they squeeze blood at the same time. So when they squeeze blood, the other ones are open to receive it. Because remember, blood enters to the atria, right? So the atria is full. There is no more space where blood can be accumulated. So then what happened? Immediately the electrical impulses send signals to these contracting cells within the muscle, the myocardium. The myocardium squeeze, contracts, and pumps blood to the lower level. But when it pumps blood to the lower level because of the pressure on top that is filled in, what happens when you start filling a balloon with water over there and blow, blow, blow? It's going to come to the time that it's going to blow open, right? Because it has no exit. Now here, it's not going to blow, the heart's not going to blow, the valve is going to open. As soon as these first chambers squeeze, these valves open and blood seeps to the lower level. And that's why whenever this, because the pressure here increases, because it's full, send it here because it's empty. Now when this gets full, what happens to these valves? Closes. They open when this is full to allow this to pass. But as soon as the blood fills in within the ventricles, this valve closes immediately. Because remember, what is the function of the valves? To prevent backflow. So they close it. As soon as you enter right here, this closes because they don't want you to go back. So then, because the blood now has to move to the lungs, to the rest of the body. So this is what it's telling you right there. So the heart actions are regulated so that the atria contracts, atria systole. One of the names that changes right here is contraction means systole. Why? When you study, when you did your classes, anybody have taken vital signs already? Or when you go to the doctor, they're gonna check your blood pressure, right? Your blood pressure has two names, two numbers. One is called the upper one. There are two numbers. Let's say that your blood pressure is 120. Oh, my goodness, it's 120 over 70. This upper part is called systolic or systole. And the lower one is called what? Diastolic or diastole. Okay? Diastolic means that pertains to diastole. That's it. So systole means contraction. Diastole means relaxation. Remember, if I have contraction, it has to relax. Contracts, relax. Contracts, relax. So this is the upper number of the blood pressure. It's the highest bit when the heart contracts. So when the heart contracts, it's called systole, which is the higher number. When the heart relaxes, it's called diastole. Is that understood? So this is what we're checking right here. When the atria contracts to push the blood to the ventricles, it's called atrial diastole, because it's the atria that is contracting. When the atria contracts, what happened to the ventricles? They have to be relaxed. How you gonna have high pressure right here, and how you gonna have high pressure right here? There is no way. Let's say I'm holding the door right here, and there's someone holding the door over there. Who's gonna go? Who? Nobody. I'm trying to open it from here, and somebody's holding it from there. That will be this case. No. In order for this to work, here it has to be low, high pressure. Here also, high pressure in these chambers, low pressure in these chambers, so blood can sit with no trouble. It's like the tubes that you were drawing blood. The tubes that you were drawing blood has to have lower pressure inside and higher pressure from the blood, so the blood can seep into the tube. So the tubes have a suctioning system, like a vacuum system. But if the tubes have a high pressure, how the blood is going to go there? This is like you trying to hold me down and not letting me move. So that's what happens right here. So remember, when the atria contracts, atria systole. When the atria contracts, the ventricles needs to be relaxed. And the opposite always happens. When this fills in with blood, the pressure changes. Because now this is empty, this is full. Now the pressure right here makes these valves to close. These two valves, atrioventricular valves, close. Now, what happened? Because blood here and blood here. Now these valves need to open. And this valve right here on the left ventricle needs to open. Because I have blood right here, needs to go somewhere, right? Not backwards, but through the lungs, through the aorta, to the rest of the body. So that's what we're seeing there. When the ventricles relaxes, what happened to the atria? When the ventricles contracts, what happened to the atria? Needs to relax. It's the opposite. Always think about the opposite. When you see questions like, okay, so if the atria is contracting, what happened to the ventricle? The opposite. It's relaxing. It's not going to contract at the same time. But when the right atrium contracts, what happened to the left atrium? They contract at the same time. When the left ventricle and the right ventricle contracts, what happened to the left ventricle? They contract at the same time. Because the upper chambers, they both contracts at the same time, relaxes at the same time. Ventricles contract at the same time, relaxes at the same time. Okay? So when the right ventricle pumps blood to the lungs, the left ventricle pumps blood to the rest of the body.
So what's the normal like ratio for like a normal blood pressure?
Well, we're going to talk about, well, we're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk about more likely your pulse, your high blood pressure. So the normals are now, according to the American Heart Association, have changed a lot. Yeah, because the American Heart Association is always changing. Back in the days, if you have 140 over 90, you were good. Now it's totally different. Now it's 130 over 80. Anything between 130 and 80, meaning this one has to be 60 to 80, this has to be 90 to 130. These values on the systolic has to be between 90 and 130. Let's say that they check your blood pressure, right? And you have 100 over 70. Is that okay? Yeah, because it's 100 in between 90 and 130. In the lower one, see, between 60 and 80. So that's how we see it. Now, there is all, Danielle, right? There is always this caveat, if you will. All depends, this will be for normal people. But if someone has high blood pressure and is taking medications, the values change. Because now you have a condition and we gave you medication that is kind of reducing the high blood pressure, right? But it's not going to bring it to normal. Usually it's going to be leaving it a little higher than a normal person will have. But for you it's normal. Because before you have it 180, now you have 150. Wow, great! Isn't it good? Yeah? I used to have 180, now I have 150. That's excellent. So all depends, but in normal people, that will be in between 90 and 130, the systolic, and between 60 and 80, the diastolic. If you go beyond 130, high blood pressure. If you go beyond 80, high blood pressure. Because remember, we have high blood pressure from the atria, high blood pressure from the ventricles. Now if you go below 90, you have hypotension. Now you have lower. You can die from any one of those. You cannot have high blood pressure because your blood vessels can blow, the little ones. And if you have low, then you don't have enough blood running through your body. So you're gonna collapse anyways. Either or is gonna cause you problem. One, because you don't have enough blood running, because it's too slow. Let's say that you have to walk 3 blocks and you're like kind of dragging yourself. When are you gonna get there? So not oxygen. So you're not gonna be able to perform activities because you're kind of very tired. So if you have high blood pressure, what happens when you have high blood pressure? How is your heart going? Too fast. So then you're pumping blood too fast. You're not giving time for the exchange. So you're not receiving oxygen anyways. So either or, too low, too high blood pressure, not good. That's what we have to be balanced in order for us to function normal. Any questions?
Picture.
So that's basically what it's talking about.
She need to leave early.
Okay. You're gonna pay me later, right? She's gonna say yes. I know. From this slide. Contraction is called systole, relaxation is called diastole. Remember, that's it. Always from now on, because that's what we're gonna talk about. Then we're gonna come out with other names, because we use systole and diastole for blood pressure. But when we talk about the heart, the electrocardiogram, we're gonna change those names, and you're gonna learn them. But both of these terms are gonna come out on your exam. And it's simple. Okay, the heart is contracting. What is called? Oh, systole or systolic. They're not gonna trick you writing down systole and systolic. They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do diastolic, diastolic. They don't do that. That would be unfair. Why? Because both terms are correct. Correct. So it depends on the context that you were using at that time. But it's the same. Okay, let's talk about the hard sounds. The hard, normal sounds. Why? Because we have abnormal sounds. But we're not going to talk about that because you're not going to diagnose. But you're going to know the normal sounds. We have two hard sounds. Think about this. We have two sets of chambers, right? The atria and the ventricles, always related to it. Or two sets of valves, the atrioventricular valves and the semilunar valves. So look at that part of the lecture. So it says, this is sound number one. Sound number one has a name. It's called the loop. Loop. When the heart beats, see? Tell me how the heart sounds when it beats. Usually we said dum 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 boom boom, right? Because we don't know. It's actually lap da lap da lap da lap da lap da. That's what it does. Yeah.
That's cool.
But when we listen to it, it says dum 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 dum. We seem like sometimes when we are running or something like that, or we get a little nervous, right?
Yeah.
Our heart beats fast, and we hear sound. Well, that sound is lapda, 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 lapda. Well, that's the name that they gave it, so do not go with it. That's it. So this is now. What is the most important thing right here? It's not just to know which one is the first hard sound, which one is the second, but what causes it. What makes the sound number one of the lock? What causes sound number two? The top. So that's basically what is important, and it's going to be asked. So it says right here, sound number one. Don't worry about anything else associated with closing of the A-B valves. And which ones are the A-B valves? The tricuspid and the mitral valve. So, see, those are the first set of valves. So let's go back to my beautiful heart. Right here. So when these two valves closes, because these are the atrioventricular valves, because they are between the atria and the ventricles, when they close, they produce sound number one. The closure, not that they open. So that means that the blood from here was pumped right here. And boom, the sound, as soon as this fills in with blood, this shuts down. And when they shut down, make the sound. And that's what we hear using the stethoscope. Oh, what is the instrument that we use to hear the heart sounds called? Stethoscope. They're gonna ask you that. Stethoscope.
I'm telling you, stethoscope.
Stethoscope. No, just say it slowly. Stethoscope. Stethoscope. That's it. So when we listen to the heart sounds, we use a stethoscope. That's gonna be asked in your exam. But remember, what causes heart sound number one?
Contracting.
Closure. The closure of the atrioventricular valves. And which ones are the atrioventricular valves? Tricuspid, mitral. Tricuspid, bicuspid. It's the same. Now let's go for heart sound number two. What causes it? What is left? The semilunar valves, correct. So What are the semilunar valves? The pulmonary valves and the aortic valves. So when these valves, the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve closes, or the closure of these two valves, the semilunar valve, causes sound number 2. So think about this. The first valves, atrioventricular valves, tricuspid, mitral. If when they close, sound number 1. Sound number 2, the closure of the semilunar valves of the pulmonary and aortic valves. See? Remember, pulmonary, where is pulmonary come from? Lungs. Remember, the pulmonary valve is connected to the pulmonary artery. So for that reason, it receives the name pulmonary valve. This valve is connected to the pulmonary artery. This is the aortic artery. Why? Because it's connected to the aorta. So these doors, this is the right ventricle, and it's gonna allow the blood to go out through that door. But what is being connected over there? With the aorta. So that's the aortic door. See? So that's how we are going to relate this information. Now, it doesn't matter how simple I put it to you, but for you, this is the first time that you hear about this. So I'm not expecting you to remember this. That's why you have to kind of write it down, and later on, you check it out, you check it out, you check it out, and then you're gonna remember this. This is not something that I said and it's gonna be printed over there and you're not, no. This is like anything else. If you do not review it, if you do not go over, it's gonna be forgotten, right? But for the time being, at least for the time that you're gonna do your test, keep it. After that, no, yeah, you're not gonna use it. Nobody's gonna ask you about it, unless you're gonna become a nurse or you're gonna be a doctor, because you never know. You can do stuff, but then you review your stuff and it's coming back to you when you read it. Because when you learn it once, you forget it. It's not that you forget it; you put it somewhere. You store it. It goes somewhere in your brain, in the storage. It's like when you put your old furniture or your grandma's furniture or whatever back on that shed on the back of the house or in the attic or whatever is basement, and then you go looking for something else and you find that, oh my goodness, or somebody asks you for that, and then you're gonna look for it and say, here I got it, but you remember that you have it. It's just you don't know what it was. That's basically what it is. So not difficult, huh? Okay. So these are the hard sounds. Now, these are the places we're gonna listen to the hard sounds. So that's basically what it is. So do not worry about this because you would not be asked about this. Is that understood? It's just for you to understand that when listening to the hard sounds, we actually put the stethoscope, the diaphragm of the stethoscope, which is the widest part, we place it right there. When you go to the doctor and they put something in the ears, and then they put it like here and moving around, right? Well, they are doing this, putting it here in all the places where the valves are supposed to be. And if doesn't sound the normal sounds that we learn, then something is going on. Then you try to figure it out what I said. Remember, this is like when you open the sink or the faucet in your sink, in your kitchen. And then you close it and it starts ding, ding, like leaking, dropping. You immediately notice that, right? That's the valve that is not functioning. So you call the plumber and they change the valve. So that's what it is. Now it's not leaking. Now it's not allowing this blood to move out when it's not supposed to. So that's basically what it is. This is just for you to have an idea whenever the doctor is moving with the stethoscope around in your chest, that you know now what is listened to. But sometimes they go to the back, right? What they're listening to? Lungs. Now they're listening to your lungs. I can listen to your lungs in the front. So I can listen to your lungs and to your heart, because an stethoscope is good for that. Listening to the sounds. Sounds are listen through and stethoscope. Because they're gonna ask you what instrument you're gonna use to listening to the sounds of the lungs, stethoscope. The sounds of your heart, stethoscope. The sounds of your bowels. See the bowels? We put the stethoscope around here. The arteries around here. We put the stethoscope everywhere to hear strange sounds.
Which one is it? Sorry, it's not real. Which one is it that makes like a clicking noise that they check for like after you have a baby? Well, I don't know after a baby, but like a C-section. It's something that it makes like a clicking noise. I think it's just your bowels.
Say,
It makes like a clicking noise when you listen to it. Like,
oh, the instrument that you use makes noise?
no, the body, like the body part that they listen to. It makes like a clicking noise.
No. Not clicking noise. We hear different sounds, but clicking, probably something that I don't know. Maybe I'm not a gynecologist or. Okay, we finished with this. What time is it? Oh my.